Some things men readily confess, and other things they do not. No one, then, will confess that he is a fool or without understanding. But quite the contrary you will hear all men saying, "I wish that I had fortune equal to my understanding." But men readily confess that they are timid, and they say, "I am rather timid, I confess, but as to other respects you will not find me to be foolish." A man will not readily confess that he is intemperate, and that he is unjust. He will not confess at all. He will by no means confess that he is envious or a busybody. Most men will confess that they are compassionate. What, then, is the reason? The chief thing, the ruling thing, is inconsistency and confusion in the things which relate to good and evil. But different men have different reasons, and generally what they imagine to be base they do not confess at all. But they suppose timidity to be a characteristic of a good disposition, and compassion also, but silliness to be the absolute characteristic of a slave. And they do not at all admit, confess, the things which are offences against society. But in the case of most errors, for this reason chiefly, they are induced to confess them, because they imagine that there is something involuntary in them, as in timidity and compassion. And if a man confess that he is in any respect intemperate, he alleges love, or passion, as an excuse for what is involuntary. But men do not imagine injustice to be at all involuntary. There is also in jealousy, as they suppose, something involuntary, and for this reason they confess to jealousy also. Living, then, among such men who are so confused, so ignorant of what they say, and of the evils which they have or have not, and why they have them, or how they shall be relieved of them, I think it is worth the trouble for a man to watch constantly, and to ask, whether I also am one of them, what imagination I have about myself, how I conduct myself, whether I conduct myself as a prudent man, whether I conduct myself as a temperate man, whether I ever say this, that I have been taught to be prepared for everything that may happen. Have I the consciousness, which a man who knows nothing ought to have, that I know nothing? Do I go to my teacher as men go to oracles, prepared to obey? Or do I, like a snivelling boy, go to my school to learn history and understand the books which I did not understand before, and, if it should happen so, to explain them also to others? Man, you have had a fight in the house with a poor slave. You have turned the family upside down. You have frightened the neighbors, and you come to me as if you were a wise man, and you take your seat and judge how I have explained some word and how I have babbled whatever came into my head. You come full of envy and humbled because you bring nothing from home, and you sit during the discussion thinking of nothing else than how your father is disposed towards you and your brother. What are they saying about me there? Now they think that I am improving, and are saying, "He will return with all knowledge." I wish I could learn everything before I return, but much labour is necessary, and no one sends me anything, and the baths at Nicopolis are dirty. Everything is bad at home, and bad here.